Welcome back, Brian LaRose here with the Partner Focus segment here from VMworld 2017. I'm joined by Ross Brown, SVP of Strategic Alliances. And Ross, thanks for joining us today here on Partner Focus.
Thank you, Brian. Glad to be here.
Appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule. First of all, I'd like to start off talking about the CISOs and their adoption of VVD and vCloud Foundation. And they're seeing that really as an instant data center. Yep. So they can begin to then build their business value on top of it instead of the old days where they got tripped up on having to build out data centers before they could even get to the consulting.
Or worse, doing brownfield data center rehab of old equipment, trying to figure out what you can keep and can't. Yeah, there's not a lot of money that. When you talk about the margin pools available to them and you look at how much money there is on infrastructure readiness for an application versus the business value modification and workflow customization, the profit pool sits on that side. So by using Cloud Foundation and taking VMware validated designs as a recipe, and eventually we'll get to actual constructs we can do that way, it lowers the cost to get it into production rapidly. I mean, because you're talking minutes to deploy into VM environments as opposed to months to deploy on traditional hardware. That is a time to value statement, and it gets them very quickly off the infrastructure and gets them quickly into the application where they make most of their money in a margin pool.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Well, we're really excited, and I've spent a lot of time this week talking about SDDC and VCF and VVD with our partner community, so yeah. I know that we're getting a lot of excitement around that. Let's pivot a little bit and talk a little bit about cybersecurity.
Yep.
There was an exciting announcement yesterday, App Defense,
yep.
And the concept of discover, detect, and repair, respond.
Right.
So we really have cornered the market now in the security realm. We've got NSX, we've got encrypted vSAN, we've got the RSA access in the family, we've got App Defense. We really have SecureWorks, so we really have it all covered. How do you feel like our partners are going to leverage that and take advantage of this whole solution that we now bring?
Well, it's really critical for partners to be involved in it because what we're really doing is creating a more secure IT architecture in the way it's constructed. But I'll use a metaphor to describe this, and it's a little bit of a tortured metaphor, but bear with me. You've heard the NSX analogy between the difference between a castle and a hotel, right? Every room has its own key, and only the owner of the key knows what's in that room because they have permission. Well, hotels still have security cameras.
Absolutely.
They still have smoke detectors. They still have all the things that say, we've designed it to be secure. However, if something goes wrong, we still see all those things. So app defense, microsegmentation, our ability to normalize and see what normal network traffic looks like and when we see those aberrations, is a really secure architecture that then is complemented by our broad array of security partners who provide that intrusion prevention, endpoint malware protection, firewall capabilities and whatnot at scale.
Yeah. And we have a lot of CISOs out there that are watching that are in the federal space.
Right.
So are we going to target those CISOs with this offer, or you think there's going to be a very quick adoption from that community?
Well, I don't think anything happens quick in the federal government, and that's the nature of procurement cycles and whatnot, but there's adoption of the design model, and then there's the monetization of the design model. I think the adoption of the design model happened rapidly across a lot of industries. I think you'll see the monetization occur much faster in high value targets like banking and stuff, where there's a tremendous amount of targeted attacks that are much easier to solve if you've got both a proactive app defense type network modeling, and you've got microsegmentation and identity and security and token two-factor authentications. You put that structure in place and complement it with the active defense things around IPS and anti-malware and whatnot, you've got a much more secure banking environment.
Absolutely.
So yes, Fed will take off for compliance and cybersecurity risk and whatnot, but I imagine you'll see the use case around financial protection be really, really quick.
I'm hearing from our partners that we've captured lightning in a bottle, so I'm hoping that plays out over the next several years.
I've joked for a while that there's only two kinds of NSX customers out there. The ones who understand it and have bought it, and the ones that are still learning it.
They're still struggling.
But they're all going to buy it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's a unique product.
Let's pivot again and talk a little bit. The last year's been very interesting for those of us at VMware through the Dell acquisition. We used to talk about the VMware ecosystem, and the partners back on the floor behind us here really were sourced and generated from that VMware ecosystem. But now we've joined a broader family, the Dell ecosystem. And so how's that going here at year one of the Dell ecosystem, and how are our partners leveraging even more out of that than ever before?
Well, it's important to sort of identify where we've seen the most synergy is where you'd expect it. A partner who is a Dell Technologies partner already, who is also a VMware partner, is now saying it's easier to work together, and Dell is doing a good job of sort of I'll say the way Michael says it, which is VMware will be neutral to everybody, but Dell will invest to be best for VMware. And that's a Dell statement that they're doing, and we've seen it manifesting in VxRack and VxRail, appliances, and then other solutions we brought to market with Dell that is co-engineered between VMware and Dell, which in our ecosystem, we'll do the same with our other OEM partners. It's them leaning in to want to do that is the bigger thing. So we've seen tremendous synergy where we've leaned in on Dell partnerships and Dell accounts. We've also seen massive growth in other OEMs. So what's been interesting is there isn't, while we've gotten a lot of synergy out of Dell, it has not come at the expense of the other OEM's production. You know, across the board, just at a broad level, you know, broadly, we were 1 point difference in growth between all the Dell business and all the non-Dell OEM business. They roughly grew the same amount.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I've been doing a lot of things with IBM with their data, software-defined data center. I don't know if you had a chance to stop by the IBM booth and see the robot demo.
No, I'm going to in a bit. I was just talking to Don Fitzpatrick about it, and I'm going to go see it.
It's really, really cool, and it actually talks natural language recognition, AI machine learning, talks through Bluemix to vRealize automation. And we work to build all that to make that happen. So I know it's a sort of a toy demonstration, but it demonstrates the power of the underlying platform and the power of the AI ML, which, as we're hearing from Pat yesterday, really is going to be where we're going to be making a lot of investments as a company.
It's going to be really neat when smart digital assistants start telling people at home, you know, by the way, your data center is experiencing a 500 millisecond larger latency effort. Would you like us to automatically correct it? Those sorts of things are going to be really neat.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to pivot again and talk a little bit about the management plane becoming mission critical. This is something in my time with VMware, we've really turned the corner on that in the last 12 months. So prior to the last 12 months, the management plane could go up or down. It wasn't HA all the time. It wasn't always there. And people began to run their data centers and deal with the management plane when they could. But because of VCF and VVD and really the pervasive hybrid cloud story, the management plane is now mission critical. And our partners out there that are watching today need that to be up and running. And we're doing that in new and exciting ways with distributed vSAN, with the hybrid cloud capability, the remoting and all that. So how are you thinking that's going to go forward with our
Well, it's a great question because it really helps us talk about a macro trend for VMware that's been going on, which is the movement from individual products of value to a platform of value. And you can use a metaphor of a PC, right? Because in essence what we've done is we've created a data center operating system in Cloud Foundation. You know, we don't like to think of it that way, but it's really a complete, logical, abstracted model of the data center that's API driven.
Absolutely.
When that happens, if you think about the PC, a PC is a CPU, it's a storage protocol, and it's a networking protocol, and that's how data gets in and stores and gets processed. What makes a PC, though, in the operating system is how it manages all those resources in a coordinated way, how it manages the life cycle of those individual functions as operating systems go through updates and apps go through updates. Management is what in essence is the operating system of these individual discrete components at scale. So when you talk about 10,000 VMs and zettabytes and storage, and you start talking about 1,000 gigabit network backplanes that are all virtualized, all that's interesting hardware without the apps and the management control planes to drive it. So for us to operate at a platform, management becomes critical. And
I'm so excited about where we are with the management plane. I've spent my time talking with our partners in your organization about that, and I think the story's getting through. So Ross, talking about our partners, our partners, our CISOs specifically, have relationships with Amazon, Google, and Microsoft with Azure, and they've really been begging for us to extend the management plane out to those existing partnerships, those existing technologies that their customers are begging them for. And from the last couple of days, we've made significant progress in getting there. But where are we going and what's left?
Well, first, celebrate the partnerships that are fantastic. So IBM Cloud for VMware, our VMware cloud providers, OVH, VirtuStream, and then a broad array of other folks that are on their Cloud Foundation journey inside of the Cloud Provider Program. Extending the NSX control plane, extending our cross-cloud services into other public clouds like Azure and Google are very important for us to be able to provide that complete tool set. Now, the end game, though, is to try to make sure that we have a consistent, that operating system we talked about for a data center, that it's consistent and enough of a similar target place to place that customers can reliably depend, that it's not so differentiated that I can't reliably move. It's really important to notice, to talk about that. We talk about cloud mobility, but the reality is it's really about putting things where they belong. And so when you sort of had raw public clouds and sort of, you think about the cloud native environments, only certain things made sense there and certain things didn't. Yet when now you're talking about being able to run anything from cloud native applications built with Pivotal and Kubernetes to historical applications wrapped up inside of VMware, that's a consistent control plane across the entire thing. We have to have that consistently everywhere so that people can depend and rely on it and see, I can do that. Now, the mobility thing though is less about moving back and forth and more about putting in the right place. So our partners will have the capability now to really run a really great play, which is go in and model the applications, look at their traffic, look at which makes sense, and you're going to find some of them generate so much traffic it doesn't make sense from a bandwidth cost to put in the public cloud. Other ones do. Migrate them, modernize them, which is then starting to build app extensions and cloud native support around those historic apps, and then manage. So if you think about that model, migrate, then modernize and manage, it creates this nice little play where you could go app by app if you want to eat it one app at a time, or you could create the architecture and say, let's lift critical ones or however you want to do it. But it creates, I call it the string of pearls of projects for our partners to be able to go through.
And the CISOs that are out there today, you just heard Ross prescribe to you exactly a service offering that you should all go and build. Yeah, because that's exactly what they need to do.
And we will continue to develop tools and stuff around it to help make it easier, but they have the capabilities to do these at scale.
Absolutely, absolutely. So any closing remarks or thoughts about the week and your time here with partners? I know that we have our whole team here. So.
There's a reason they call it a job, right? You go to the office, you go to meetings, and you deal with difficult decisions and stuff. This event, the event in Barcelona, our annual Partner Leadership Summit, are energy injection events for me, where I come away with so many great ideas from partners and so many great examples of what they're doing, as well as a clear list of their needs to help unlock more business value for themselves and customers.
Exactly.
So I thank all the partners for attending. It's really one of those events where my entire team gets clarity, we get focused on the mission of serving our partners, and we get a really great chance to come away from it energized to go serve our partner community.
Wonderful, wonderful. Right. Well, thank you very much for being with us here today on Partner Focus.
Very much.
Thank you, CISOs, for tuning in all week. Stay tuned. We've got a few more announcements left this week and a few more exciting interviews.